what's going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2013 mixtape by Rich Homie Quan. Basically this product is called Still Going In Reloaded, and it came out in the winter of 2013. So this is basically the expansion pack to like Still Going In, the mixtape that came out in the fall of 2012 as far as this pitch is going to happen. So basically Rich Homie Quan came on the scene about like the early 2010s as far as this fair is going to happen. Good after product to some of those folks like Future and Yo Gotti, some of those type folks in particular. Just a younger version of the sort of stuff, not quite as young as Chief Keef, but within the concept of being about 4 or 5 or 6 years younger than Future as far as this pitch can happen with it, just within tones. So some good type products, going to get into some of these type tones here just within the pitch behind it. But yeah, basically this is a mixtape classic here, just to be able to say that just within the tones behind it. Some excellent type fares. If you miss like the classic Datpiff era of mixtape drill pitches like that, just the dominant run of like Datpiff mixtapes between about 2009 and about 2014, 2015, some of those type pitches. This is another banner mixtape for that, especially in like a trap type sense. Some of that particular type format when you think of products by Rick Ross like Rich Forever and Meek Mill's Dream Chasers and Futures, Streets Callin', some of those type products, some of those type fares, other pitches like that. So this classic ones from some of those type of appeals, Waka Flocka, Salute Me or Shoot Me's, Gucci Mane's Trap God, some of those type ones within the pitch behind it. There's a lot of those type of appeals that this is just further product of some of those type aspects within the tones behind it. This is the further type one. Now Rich Homie Quan did not drop too many albums within those pitches, but he did drop like plenty of mixtapes. He was a pretty good mixtape prince and king as far as those aspects kind of went along with that. Easy enough to see because pretty much every, like out of the 20 songs in this particular mixtape, I wound up recommending every one. Now within the pitch behind it, I will say there's not terribly many Friday night kind of Thursday night, Saturday night kind of party songs within those pitches. I mean, there's one designated song. It's kind of within the pitch as far as saying this just has a little bit more balance of like more everyday type living, kind of doing like early 2010s mixtape trap within a sense of just having a little bit more productive kind of makeshift type sense where it's just within the product of being blue collar, but just kind of keeps like the urban edge about it within the pitch behind it. It's just a more pedestrian version of the stuff that Future was doing, where Future was still kind of in trap mode, still more in hustlers type mindset pitches like that. It's a little bit more where it kind of has some residential boundaries within as far as the pitch is going to have. So it's just a little bit more. If you do find yourself working at McDonald's or KFC, some of those type. If you do find yourself working at McDonald's, KFC, some of those type pitches within some of those type tones, Burger King, some of those type places, just within the pitch of having that standard fare, just getting to the money and having those aspects between it, just within the aspect to like mixtape trap. So it just has a little bit more pedestrian type sense about it. But yeah, like I was saying, there's not a ton of turn up songs on here, but it still manages to pull out the excellence, which is definitely a pretty good character show to have about this product. Just being able to say that despite the fact that you're not getting like the consistent, really this is not too much like a smoke centric type product either. It's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that a lot of this is just a lot more residential type fare. It's not so much full bound to the pitch of like every one of these songs is makeshift, but just within the pitch of just having a lot more pedestrian and kind of lackadaisical type living, as if this is more everyday, more in the fashion than compared to Future's Pluto. And also balancing that on top of that is the concept of like some pop rap on here. It's not to say that there's a problem with that, but within the pitch, if you like the moments by Future when you think of Pluto, which was a pretty revolutionary album for like the 2010s as far as getting like trap music into more of like the pop rap type format and like the 2010s type eras, just within the pitch, that a lot of that after effect kind of spills onto this project, and that a lot of that after effect kind of particularly spills onto this product. And if you like the trends that Future set off with some of those type pitches, folks like Future and Yo Gotti, and folks like Future, Yo Gotti, and Chief Keef, some of those type folks, this is an after effect of some of those type products as far as doing it within those pitches. So this has some good type contemporary type moments. This kind of appeals like residential type fare with like some pop rap type moments or pop trap type moments within the pitch as far as getting towards it, and just having that pedestrian kind of stuff that has the radio friendliness about it, but does it within a more trap centric kind of mixtape type format. So it's a good type of appeal as far as nailing that. There's some good singles on here. I feel like there's a couple of good singles on here within those pitches, but they're just kind of more within the pedestrian type feel about it. Just like I've been saying, just more in the everyday type format. I do like the concept of some of these type ones. Some of these are a little bit smoke centric, but it's really not as much full bound kind of red cup type music. I mean, I feel like there's some moments for here. I feel like there's certain relative moments for here as far as those pitches kind of go with like some big gliders nearby and some red cups, some of those type pitches. But for the most part, this is like a pretty good, like this really has like a product of just like your toolkit for just like everyday type living within the pitches, just in a more kind of mild kind of hustlers makeshift type fashion. So it just kind of blends that between like blue blue collar and hustler's makeshift within an urban type sense as far as this pitch can go. But just to say within the pitch is the product of just getting your tasks done, getting tasks wrapped up, some of those type pitches, of just getting everyday fare, the errands taken care of, some of those type pitches, some cruise around type songs, pretty good car centric. This product is actually more in motion. This is kind of like some minor kind of level up type music within a pitch. Just getting to the money, saying, hey, I don't have time for this as much. Not so much habit breaking type music, but just more in the pitch as far as saying that if you do have some things, just realizing that you got to get to business a little bit within some of those type fares, as far as saying that it's time to stop screwing around within some of those type pitches. Just has some of that type fare, just separating like kind of like the wishy-washy type moments to more in like the concept of disc kind of getting a little bit more straightening towards it. So this is pretty good straightening. Before the concept of Migos really putting out that particular aspect of like the straightening type concept, this is a good type one to just have like some conduit type moments of just lacing things and just kind of fleshing out, like working out the kinks as far as this pitch kind of goes. Just has a little bit more productive sense. But I look after it. So basically, to just be able to say about this project here, like I said, I recommend all 20 of the 20 songs in here, but I'm only going to really talk about 11 of these because we'd be here for quite a while talking about every one of these back to back to back to back. So I just am going to say I'll definitely talk about the 2 singles, then I'll talk about a handful other of these as far as this pitch going to go. But basically, Difference was the lead single off this project, one of the ones. Now this one didn't chart. Type Away did chart back in 2013. I think it was somewhere in 2013 that particular song chart. I remember that particular song that Lil Wayne did a freestyle to on Dedication 5 as far as this pitch going to happen. So I do remember that song. But basically, Difference was a nice one as well. Difference is like a Glaze kind of Young Thug, similar kind of taste of quick times and a more pedestrian kind of tempo. I'd have to say about this one, just a busybody tune to kind of get within those aspects. It's kind of the concept, like I was saying, just being a little bit more straight laced, just in the aspect of just kind of. It's kind of a good tone of just straightening, just within the aspect of getting some level up type fare, just within the tone as far as saying, all right, gotta cut the crap, just get towards a little bit, and just have the aspect of this concentration as far as this pitch kind of goes. But it does it within a residential type fashion. It's not as if you're going and saying, okay, I'm going to be a CEO now and ditching all your friends. It's not that particular type of music. It's more amongst the aspect of this that you just can't be as much lazy as full bound within the pitch behind. It just has a little bit of like a little bit of pushy kind of upkeep about it as far as this pitch kind of go. Just saying, all right, we got to hop to it a little bit, just get some money towards things. It's kind of the tone. Type Away is the second single. I appreciate this one. It's a pretty nice one. This dope beat for Lil Wayne to rap to some of these type pitches, and I do like the original song with Rich Homie Quan as far as this fair is going to go. It's like a gusty and kind of brushy residential day push kind of get here. Typical kind of gab music, I'd had to say. Just some what up dough kind of music within those pitches. I had to say definitely a good song to toke one, and some day tracks kind of get within those tones behind it. Just kind of a more cooler weather type aspect, something a little bit crisper, some of those type pitches, I'd had to say. Great for like September, November, some of those type fairs. Now, maybe not full blown kind of snowfall, kind of winter type music within a pitch, but just kind of the concept of something. I mean, I suppose it probably could be winter, but just in the pitch, just something cooler within the aspect of just kind of like, after like the heat of summer and like the furor and all the ferociousness, is kind of something where maybe some homies that you haven't touched base with. I just feel like the concept between Type Away is just a little bit, when they say you're feeling some type of way about it, just a little bit more jadedness about it. It's just within the pitch as far as saying it's kind of the dab of this it's kind of the concept of reconciliation, some of those type fairs, just within the tone behind that particular aspect as far as those pitch going to happen. Definitely a good one to smoke a couple swishers with as far as those tones going to happen. Just some good type fairs. So both those hit pretty well. I just feel like really Type Away is just a floaty, kind of real drowsy type beat within the pitch behind a good song to be high as hell to within those pitches. Just, with Rich Homie Quan being homie within the pitch of his name, so it's a good concept, some homies type music. You would think that he would be pretty much a pro at some of these type homie type records with this like this typical kind of red cup and house party type music within the pitch behind, but he really doesn't pack those records on as full bound. I think they are on here. This is definitely a pretty good neighborhood type album within the pitch, that it just doesn't centralize that concept as full bound. This is a lot more residential. This is a more kind of straightforward sense. There's just some ones on here as far as those aspects going to go. I feel like another good party record within those pitches, like a little bit more up tempo than Type Away. There's really, apart from the song Party, which is a definite nice one, the Reloaded edition, I'd probably say Ayo is a nice one as well. I did at least list a couple of these that do have like some relative turn up type fashion. So Ayo is like a militant kind of trap bravado to kind of get here. It just reminds me definitely of like mid 2000s trap, Jeezy, folks like that, USDA, Slick Pulla, some of those type folks with like a new era. Some of those type folks with like a newer era kind of future strip club jive about it as far as this pitch kind of goes. It's just kind of like a peppy party kind of get here within those senses. Just by peppy, I just mean a little bit more cheer about it, not so much like carnivorous, feral within the pitch, but just a little bit more pep and optimism within the pitch behind it. Just has a little bit more joviality towards it. It's a good concept for some of that type fare behind, but it is a nice one kind of get within those tones. Definite good companion to the sung party, which I'm getting ready to talk about just in the pitch. This good 1-2 punch, but just understand the concept. There's not, even if there's like motions for some of these type moments in terms of like the records where you're just going to be standing on couches, some of those type pitches, like I've been saying, it's not within the, like this is kind of like Future, but this is, you know, once again to say more neighborhood. So Party is a nice one. This kind of reminds me of Migos within the pitch behind it. Now Rich Homie Quan kind of came on the scene a little bit before Migos within the pitch behind him, but this is a nice one here. Kind of reminds me of like the Culture album and some of the projects that Migos put out in like 2014. It's like an early bird kind of IG Living Sparkle kind of get here, definitely trendy kind of Migos and mid 2010s Future type trap boiler within some of those type pitches. Mid 2010s Future trap boiler to kind of get within some of those type pitches. Definite. This is a definite noisemaker and a great song to go ham to within some of those type aspects. It just reminds me of something like Handsome and Wealthy, some of those type pitches by Migos, some of those type ones in particular. Hannah Montana, some of those type ones that had to say good type appeals. Investments is a pretty nice one as well. In a change of pace, Investments is a pretty nice song as well. It's like a brooding kind of extra thoughts, neighborhood, dark evening, cruising kind of get here. Definite good past the bleezy real talk type music kind of get. So it's just within the tone, just some broodiness, it's kind of the concept, but just a little bit of paranoia, not so much full bound paranoia, but just some real talk kind of within the sense of this when you smoke, just the aspect of not everything, this aspect of not everything just being jovial kind of comedies, just talking about, you know, typical kind of more cheesin' type Jim Carrey type fashion, some of those type pitches. It just is a little bit more kind of within a serious type tone of still smoking with your pals, but just kind of the aspect of just some real talk within the tone and just like not quite as, it's not quite as giddy as full bound within the pitch behind. Just some good rumination within some of that, but it still contains that homey type fare. So it's just from the aspect, some residential fun as far as those pitch kind of go. Maybe just getting some talk about just on some real talk type ish as far as those pitch kind of happen with it. The type pitch for that. Sacrifices is a quality one. This is like an early 2010s kind of mixtape trap pop grab kind of get here. Pretty glitzy vanilla cruise around. I would definitely feel like this feels like a Future kind of Pluto hit within those aspects. So this one kind of has some makeshift type feel about it. This one's pretty factory just within the sense just a standard kind of cruise around just within the aspects as far as those pitches kind of go along with it. Just some good type tones. This really feels like your 4 o'clock p.m. type dredge. It really feels like your typical kind of 4 o'clock p.m. type dredge just within the sense, just considering that this is free music, some good type of appeal to kind of get some of that just after workshift, just probably something to listen to, 4:30, 5:15, some of those type pitches as far as that aspect kind of goes. This really feels like something, once again, left over from Future's Pluto, just within the same pitch. Just a real good offshoot and spawn of some of that particular stuff as far as those aspects can go. So it's good type fare for some of that. There are some other ones like that on here. There's a good number of these that have a lot of similarities to Sacrifices that had to say within the pitch. Probably one that's pretty similar to that as well as Finally Made It, but this one's a little bit more peppy, I'd say. Finally Made It's like a glissy, kind of appreciative, quick times blur to kind of get here, just like pop rap Future Pluto. This is very much just like pop rap kind of Future Pluto tunes I'd had to say, and it's a pretty good commercial hit within a sense. So just the concept of some of those type ones. I mean, you could say within a sense that it's watered down, but it's just a good aspect to kind of have for some of these vanilla aspects within it, because it just has like that more immediate type fashion. For definite folks who like Future's Pluto and Chief Keef's Finally Rich, some of those type pitches, just like that commercial bound typeness, ripped out of 2012, has those same aspects about this particular project here. Just nailing it in a more mixtape type fashion. It's just good type tones for some of that just makeshift typeness, just the relief of got done with tasks, some of those type pitches, and just the standard kind of just feel good. So there are some feel good moments. Like I was saying that there's one of these on here, like I feel like AO is kind of a nice one, like a more recreational type sense for like a shindig, but Finally May is just one of those for like a cruise around within those pitches, some of those type ones. So there is some good jovialness about this project. Another nice one that's just like Future's Pluto and Chief Keef's 2012 album would be Pass Around. It's like a typical trap kind of out and around like Future and Chief Keef. I'd have to say here, just some radio gloss with like a darker kind of trap brew amongst those pitches as far as those things kind of go along with it. So it's just good type tone for that. It's basically like the concept of like some mixtape makeshift as far as those pitches can happen. Just good type fare. I would look after it. So it's just some standard kind of early 2010s commotion as far as those pitches kind of happen along with it. Just the fare as far as that would particularly kind of happen. Just good type of appeal for some of that. Just typical kind of early 2010s type trap fashion within the aspect behind, just in a more darker type sense, just the pitch behind it. So it has some of that commercial type appeal, just in the aspect, just a little bit not quite as watered down within the pitch. So it's a good type tone to have for some of that commercial typeness, just within a more aspect of just something that's just not quite as, you know, like radio ready, or at least not quite as, just a little bit less vanilla, I'd have to say, within the tones behind it. That's a nice one. But Glasses Off is another one that's pretty similar to Pass Around, just within the same aspect. Virtually, I'd say it's like an evening errands, kind of get some shit done, kind of trap mixtape commerce kind of get here. Just another prospect of some of that type fare, just some mixed Definite makeshift about this one. It's like some night productive type pitch to kind of get within those tones. So a little bit of these. Some of these are definite evening ones, like I was saying, for like 4:15 and 5:30 pitches like that. But some of these type ones are a little bit more night productive within the pitch, and more like 8:39. Some of that type fare within it. Just the concept of the further productive type songs within this product, but just the concept of, I mean, a lot of these songs just continue the format of just like Futures Pluto, just in the aspect as far as those pairs can happen. Just something that you would listen to in like a trap sense, but just more on the go. Just the pitch of just like some car centric tightness and just some errands get done type tunes. It's kind of within the aspect behind it. It's basically like some good trap mixtape kind of blue car within the sense behind it as far as those aspects kind of go. So just basically work a day kind of pedestrian, but just within the concept, but just something that just feels like Futures Pluto, just in a more kind of pedestrian type sense, good type fare. A lot of these just have that tone. Hurt No More is a pretty quality one. Now this is a relatively kind of recreational type one. This would probably be like a conduit type one within a sense. It's kind of one, but just kind of within the pitch behind it. It's like a floaty kind of feel good, smoke a couple. I would feel like here, just basic kind of trap ambience. Reminds me definitely like a Future album cut. Something that he would have done with like a song like Never End, one of those type of ones. There's probably some other ones in there. Yeah, basically like a song like Never End, some of those type ones, just something where you'd be kind of at a venue, some pitches like that. There's probably another one I'm thinking of that was off of Pluto, some of those type pitches that just feels like, it just basically feels like some marinate to kind of get within the venue as far as just kicking back and enjoying like the buzz as far as those pitches kind of go. It's just a great song to embellish to as far as those pitches kind of happen. So it's good type fare for some of that. Just really the concept, I like the concept of like some of these folks being offshoots of Future as far as those aspects kind of happen, because that's basically like the tone behind it, is just the style of just getting something like Future and just adapting that particular style. When you think of folks that kind of had similarities to Eminem or Dr. Dre or Exhibit, some of those type of folks who weren't particularly quite them, is just within a pitch of just getting like a cousin of that style. Like if you were to say that like Future was Eminem, you could probably say that like Rich Homie Quan was probably like Exhibit or something like that, just within the pitch behind it as far as those aspects going to go. Just good cousins to that, and they were affiliates within those pitches, so it's just some good type tones of just getting further aspects of that particular style. This really has the adaptation behind it, just continues that as that started to become a larger subgenre, so just did that pretty well. Choices was a quality one as well. It's like a busybody kind of quick times commotion kind of get to here, just getting to the grind kind of level up music. I would definitely feel like, and this is definitely like some mixtape work type music as far as that goes. And with word work, I mean WERK, just the pitch of actually being on the job, pitch like that, just something that you would listen to as you head to like your day to day, some of those type fares, not just so much, not just typical kind of just usual, not just kind of more non-money getting errands as far as those pitch can happen, but it's something where you actually have to hop to it and actually have some bills to pay. But I look within the tone, just the productiveness of how some of these type ones kind of go within the aspect behind it. I mean, it is pretty affable to get a lot of this here just within the pitch behind it, because the aspect behind the productiveness of this particular product does have its charm about it just within the pitch. And I do find myself wanting like a few more songs like Hurt No More, Ayo, and Party, some of those type pitches, and even Type Away. But I look within the aspect that the tone behind this particular product is fun within the factor, just kind of having, I mean, it's kind of like Jeezy within a sense that Jeezy was pretty good motivator with songs like And Then What and Trap Star and some of those type pitches that he would have, like Talk to him, some of those type fares as far as the aspect of just getting you on your feet and getting you out the door as far as those pitches kind of go, but it's just within the tone. Now, I'd say Rich Homie Quan is not quite as much like a full bound kind of motivator within those senses, but it is kind of tone as far as saying that it just has like a certain kind of busybody, just productiveness about it that just is fun to listen to when you're just more on the go. So it's kind of vehicle centric within a sense, but just kind of the concept of just having sometimes a just having a little bit more quickness about it, just is not to just kind of be bored as much. It just seems like you're not going to be as bored as oftenly when, you know, moving at the pace of Rich Homie Quan, as long as you actually have things within the commotion having them done. It's just from the pitch as far as whether it is just going to McDonald's or Arby's, some of those type fares, or just the productiveness of just having a list of tasks to get towards, having some bells around some of those type pitches, some homies to have some red cups with, some of those type pitches within it, just the concept of just having a consistent kind of basis of just like consistent kind of basis of like rhetoric within some of those type fares. So it's good type fare for that. But yeah, so those are the ones I was talking about within those pitches. Like I said, there's plenty of these to kind of get to here. A lot of these just have the continued. A lot of these are just further type ones within the pitch of just like some more productive type ones that just kind of have like similarities to the style of Futures Pluto, some of those type fares within it. I will say that All I Need is like a really nice soulful type one. Saying to him is pretty similar to like Jeezy's Talk to Him, just within the sense of just like a more kind of trap soul type pitch behind it. Saying to him is like good in the sense of like some some trap paranoia and some trap soul as far as those pitch kind of happen. Just a good one to kind of just have a little bit of alarmistness about it as far as those pitch kind of happen. Good type tones for that. Pretty similar to like investments, I'd have to say. And there's some ones on here like Still Going In. That's like some good evening primers for like a good night of rounds as far as those pitch can go, for just something for actually getting to some excitement, some of those type fares, and just having like some good Friday kickback, Thursday kickback, some of those type fares, I'd say. So it just has pretty good balance, but just with understanding the concept, it just is more kind of work than play on this particular product, but still has some good appeals of just like red cup living, just in a more sense of just like day-to-day type fashion, like having, stacking up money, or just having the concept of this. It's more in the concept of not falling short on your responsibilities as far as this fair is going to happen. So good type tone for that. But I look after the pitch, the 10 score. The social score I'll probably give as a result like a 9.25 out of 10, because I feel like this is a pretty fun record within the pitch, but I do feel like it probably needed some sort of dance club commotion about it. Probably at least another song like Party. And the thing about Party is it's not actually on the original type version of this product. The original's Still Going In. It's only on the reloaded version. So it's just within the pitch that I really feel like the only true song, and it's the same thing Type Away, which is another good red cup type music type song, is not on the standard edition either. So some of these more type ones that have a little bit more joviality towards it are not on like the original edition. So it definitely is just simpler to download the reloaded edition just within tone, because really the only real true turn up type song on that one is just AO and maybe like one other like Hurt No More, some of those type pitches. So I'd say 9.25 social has some good ones on here for at least a minor amount of that. Most of this is just like some good homies type music, some DAP type music within the pitch behind it, just the residential type fare and like a lazier kind of recreational type, like a lazier kind of pedestrian type sense, but it still is in motion as far as this pitch kind of goes. So it's just when the tone has a good amount of sense of just quick times. I mean, it's thrown within the sense of just being like the invitingness of just like the personality factor and just the charm of being able to do it, just the aspect of wanting to get you on your feet. Some of that type fare was just the aspect when you get past like the commotion of being busybody and you don't have much songs for kickback, it just kind of drags it down a bit. But within the tone, still classic in terms of the appeal, but it's 9.25 social. So in terms of the future, the unfortunate thing is Rich Homie Quan is recently deceased as far as those pitches kind of happen, so there's not going to be any further projects that are coming out. He did at least drop a posthumous album recently as far as those pitches kind of happen, but he does have plenty of mixtapes to get to. I'm definitely going to get to some more of these. Plenty of classics underneath those as far as what I'd probably have to particularly say about it, especially if they have the quality of this particular record. It should be simple enough to kind of see. But within the pitch, this is a classic here, but it does in a particular way that it does without having to be festering to the gills with like particular disc records for disc shrill kind of turn up within sense. So this is some red cup living, but it just does like in a more recreational kind of pedestrian sense. So it's just a good type tone for that.